I think APIAs are really no different than anybody else. And I think it boils down to just building personal connections, with people. I mean, wherever you live, you care about what happens around you. There's always issues that you care about, be it your children, your family, your church, your business. There are always issues that affect you and that personally connect with you. And I think, finding those ways to personally connect with people, whether you're an immigrant to this country or have lived here a long time, I think is the best way, to really get more community involvement as well. It's really to be sort of a travel critic and historian. I've always had a fascination with going to different countries, but not necessarily visiting the tourist spots, but really from an aspect of getting to know the local people. I was always fascinated with, the weather, and I studied what all the clouds were all about. I had this little miniature weather station that I asked my parents to buy me when I was like 8 years old. And careers has strewn very far from that. Ended up being an engineer and getting into the software industry and all that. But I never forget, I always used to watch the weather on TV and always be fascinated by that. I think the biggest challenge for the APIA community is really our sheer population and an even smaller number of registered voters. I think that, most politicians really look at stats and they look at numbers, and Asians in this country don't have the numbers of some of the other minority groups do. So sometimes when you see the public statistics that come out on various demographic trends, Asians are often left off. This is something that really hits home and to my heart and affects my family and me personally. I happen to be a gay American and have been all my life. And the recent passage of Prop 8 here in California was something that was really heartbreaking to me. And my partner and now my husband, Christopher, and I have been together over 13 years, and we saw the polling on Prop 8 and we were really concerned. So we got married on November the 1st, just a few days before the election. But I know that for many folks in the gay and lesbian community, that's not possible anymore. And it's something that's heartbreaking to us. I understand the issues and concerns of folks on all side of that, but for us, it's really just been an issue of a civil marriage contract, really not a religious issue at all. And so I hope that one day that all folks would be able to enjoy in the happiness of marriage like Christopher and I have. So that's one thing that I hope will change in the future. Was in high school, and I worked in a popcorn booth selling popcorn at my local high school, Lusinger High School in Lawndale, California. And I think the wage was probably like $1 an hour. I graduated a long time ago, but that was actually my first sort of paid job. I would really love to find out what individuals could do, what people could do to really bridge the gaps of understanding and appreciation for different faiths around the world. So much of who we are as people and how various nations developed over the years are really based on different religions and different faiths. And unfortunately, there have been many conflicts even to this day that have in some ways been faith-related or religious-related. And so I really would love to understand more about what people or as individuals can do to help bridge those build those bridges of understanding between different religions and between different faiths, and really have people better engage each other. It's compassion. It's important to me because it's emblematic of us as being people, or as being human. Having that understanding of others. We all come from a different place. We all have different experiences in our lives, and I think being compassionate is sort of understanding and broadening your perspectives on things, and being open-minded on issues as well. And that's something I always try to do. The last book I read was actually inspired by a course I took at the Kennedy School over at Harvard University last year for senior executives in state and local government. And we had a lecturer there that served in the Kennedy administration, and just an amazing guy with wonderful stories about President Kennedy and so forth. And so one of the books that was part of our required reading at that time, and that I've still been working through, is Profiles of Courage by Kennedy. And the thing I love about that book is that it gave stories, it gave accounts of different politicians. I happen to be a politician, so it's sort of fun to read about others in the history of this country. But it gave accounts of different politicians throughout history up until the time that he wrote it in the late 50s, that had difficult issues to struggle with. From the Civil War to the Depression-era issues, things like that, that did what they felt was right and what was best for the nation or their community, despite what may have been, popular belief at that time. And I think it speaks volumes about what so many people try to do in public services, is to try to do the right thing. I've had the honor of serving as an elected official for almost 12 years, but for the past 6 years, I've also had the honor of working as a deputy for LA County Supervisor Don Knabe. And one of my big responsibilities with him is to work with different social service and nonprofit organizations in particular areas of his district. And I've really been inspired tremendously by the employees and the volunteers that work at many of these nonprofits, particularly those that deal with underprivileged youth and those that may deal with domestic violence or women's issues. Because in a lot of these organizations, folks do not get paid very much at all. And it really is a labor of love. And to see them out there on the front lines, protecting people, making positive changes in the community is, it's something that inspires me every day, and inspires work that I do in other areas as well.